Go ahead.
Do you mind if I
I
start
want you
with
to ask me questions. I just began hoping
Good.
somebody will talk to me. Go ahead.
So, what does that look like, being close to the Lord and walking with Him? How do you keep...
Can you hear him?
Sorry. What does
There.
that look like, being close to God and walking with Him? Because like you said, when you minister and you preach and you pray for the sick, or while you're involved in the ministry, I think it can get deceptive that you're with the Lord because you're doing His work. But you're trying to make a difference between doing His work and actually being close to Him and walking with Him.
That is correct. Well, so your question is how?
What do you mean by walking with the Lord
Good.
and staying close to Him?
Intimacy. Intimacy with God is the sign you're fellowshipping with the Lord. And intimacy means ongoing communion, uninterrupted communion. You cannot stop talking to Him. You talk to Him all the time in your spirit, man. Sometimes audibly, sometimes not audibly. You are in continual communion. I did not realize how powerful and how real this part of the Christian life can be. That's what it means, pray without ceasing. You are continually connected, abiding. But that did not happen during those 3 years. During those 3 years, there was a lot of distraction and interruptions where I didn't even hear His voice. Do you know, Pastor, I talk to the Lord about things, simple things sometimes, and He answers me immediately. If I cannot get hold of my son, I say, dear Jesus, have Him answer the call. And He answers every time. They've seen it happen. Have you seen it, yes or no? I said, dear Jesus, have Him answer the phone. And He answers.
I need to do that with my wife. But that's precious, yes.
We are in communion about everything with the Lord. Everything.
Yes.
I mean, I asked the Lord, Lord, should I get on this flight? And He'll tell me yes or no. Because you know it. You know it. When my mom was going home, she was talking, laughing, and nobody thought she'd go home to be with the Lord. We all knew she will eventually, because she was ill. She was 85 years old. The doctors didn't give us much hope. And I was struggling. Do I go back to California or do I stay? Because I came to see her. I'm sitting on American Airlines on the plane, with my son Joshua next to me. My luggage is on the plane, everything. I'm waiting for the plane to take off. And everything in me said, get off the plane now. I knew it. But my mind was saying, Mom, it's okay. I just thought. She was making me laugh. Only an hour earlier. And I looked at one of the flight attendants. I said, please, I have to get off the plane. She said, why? I said, well, I don't know, but I really need to just leave. She went to the pilot. They were already pulling the jetway, they call it, away. The pilot came out from the cockpit, and he talked to me. And he said, oh, I know you, which made it much simpler. He said, you're Ben here. And I said, thank you, pilot. Oh, Captain, I called him. I said, thank you, Captain. And then I told him, I said, my mom is ill. And he said, no problem. We'll do whatever needs to be. And he was so gracious. They kept that plane waiting for a whole half hour before it could go. I get home. My mom passed away 2 hours later. I was holding her hand, singing, Jesus, there is something about that name. And I had to be there. But I knew the voice of God. You do it now. It's intimacy with the Lord. It's uninterrupted fellowship that happens all the time. All the time. Before I go on any trip, I get on my knees. And the guys get on their knees with me, who are traveling with me. And we ask the Lord for His blessings, that His name will be glorified. Bring us back home rejoicing by the things You've done, Lord. And everything in us knows everything is going to be all right. But it's communion. And the thing is, the scriptures, because of that intimacy, the scriptures melt you. Oh, dear God. They melt your being with love. Everything in your heart erupts with intense love for him. As you read the word, he is more real than anything in life through his word. And I don't want to, yes, I do want to make you jealous. There are times I can tell you what he's wearing. I've literally, I can, it's called a similitude. The Lord's similitude. It's where he becomes so real. He's more real than the air. He's more real than anything around you. And it's amazing. I'll tell you something. My mom went to be with the Lord. And I looked up one day, I said, "Dear Jesus, I know she's with you. But would you mind coming and telling me?" I was in New Orleans, Louisiana. And you know I'm right. And he appeared to me in my suite with the biggest smile. I began to sob and thank him, and he disappeared. Everything in me knew she's with him. You say, "Well, that only happens to you. You're Benin." Oh, no, no, no. There are no favorites. You are his child as much as I'm his child. Don't ignore him. Fellowship means communion continually with him. All the time, in the car. Even when you're talking to people, you're talking to him in your heart. All the time.